Today's lesson is lesson 65, writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Well, what are parallel lines? Parallel lines are lines that never intersect. If we were to draw them, they would never intersect. They would never cross. Sort of like rails on a railroad, perhaps, or the lanes in a highway would never cross. So how do we find the slopes of a line? Well, we have a formula that we use. Our formula is slope m. Well, let's get our writer here. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's find the slope of this blue line here. Okay, we need to pick a couple of points, pick 2 points on the blue line. Oh, let's pick this point. The coordinates of that point would be 0, minus 4. And let's just pick this one. Coordinates of that point would be 2, 0. We'll call this point 1 and this point 2. Okay, so y2 would be 0 minus y1 is minus 4, so the opposite of minus 4 is plus 4 over x2. x2 is 2 minus x1, which is 0, so this would be 4 over 2, or 2. Now let's find the slope of our red line. Let's pick 2 points. Let's just pick this one. Coordinates of that point would be minus 5, 0. And let's just pick this one up here. This looks like an easy one. 0, 10. Okay, so the slope would be y2. Well, let's identify those. Let's call this one y2. And this one, or point 2, and this one point 1. Okay, so y2 would be 0 minus y1, which would be 10, minus 10. And then x2 minus 5 minus 0. Well, this would be minus 10 over minus 5, which would be equal to 2. Now notice that parallel lines have what? The same slope. Parallel lines have equal slopes. Equal slopes. Now what about perpendicular lines? Okay, let's do the same thing. Let's get our slopes. I believe this is the same lines we had earlier. Okay, so the slope of this line, if you remember, that slope of this line was 2. So let's do this one. Let's pick a point here. I'll get red. Okay, let's look like a good point there. Coordinates of that point would be 3, 7. And that looks like a good one there. So that one would be minus 3, 10. We'll call this point 1 and this point 2. Okay, so y2 would be 10 minus y1 is 7. Okay. Oh, well, I'm not sure this is going to work, but it might. Okay, and then x2 would be minus 3 minus x1, which is 3. Okay, so we would get what here? We would get minus, or we get 3. 10 minus 7 is 3. And minus 3 is minus 6. And a plus divided by a minus is a minus. And 3 over 6 would reduce to 1/2. So how do the slopes of perpendicular lines compare? Here's our slope of one line, and then here's the slope of the perpendicular line. The slopes of perpendicular lines, well, let's see if we can write that here. Slopes of perpendicular, I'm just going to make the symbol, lines are negative reciprocals. Reciprocal, C-A-L-S. Okay, so the reciprocal of 2 would be 1 over 2, but the negative of that would be negative 1 over 2, and that's what we got for the slope here. What would the reciprocal of negative 1 over 2 be? Well, the reciprocal of 1 over 2 would be 2 over 1, and the negative of a negative would be a plus, and that's what our slope on the blue line is plus 2. Okay, let's look at example 4 on page 426. write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that passes through -2, -3, and is perpendicular to the line with equation y equal -3x plus 1. Okay, so we could graph that equation, this equation right here. What is the slope of this equation, of this line? Well, it's -3. And what are we doing to the, what's this number represent? This number represents the y-intercept, so we move up 1, and then we put a point, and then we get a slope of -3, so we go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over 1 like this, so our line would be like this, or sort of like that. And now we want the equation of the line that passes through this point and is perpendicular to this line. So let's find that point. -2, -3, -2, -3, right there, and is perpendicular. Let's go ahead and change colors. Goes through that point and is perpendicular to our first line. So it's going to go like that, something like that. Okay, so you remember how the slopes of perpendicular lines compare. They're the negative reciprocal. Okay, negative reciprocal. So the slope of our first line is -3. So the negative of -3 would be +3, and the reciprocal of 3 would be 1/3. So the slope of our new line is going to be 1/3. So we can use our slope-intercept form, y equal mx plus b, to find our new equation. So y is equal to, the slope is 1/3, x plus b, and now we need to find out what b is, and the way we do that is put it in the coordinates of the point that the new line passes through. So we put in -3 for y is equal to 1/3 times x, and x value was -2 plus b, and we solve it for b. So we multiply this out, we get -2/3 plus b is equal to -3, and then we add 2/3 to both sides, and b would then be equal to, let's see, -2/3 plus -3 plus 2/3 would be -2 1/3, or we could write that as what? -7/3. So our equation, the equation of this line, would be y equal 1/3 x minus 7/3. Now notice that how the blue line goes here. It goes up to the left or down to the right, and it has a what? A negative slope. Now our new line goes up to the right, and it has a positive slope. Just remember that. That's kind of a help, might be kind of a help for you. Okay, after watching the video, please work and send the answers to lesson practice problems B and C on page 426, and our homework assignment will be 1 through 6, 10, 13 through 16, 18, 20, 22, 24 through 26, 29, and 30. And it is suggested that in addition to the 2 practice problems noted above, that you work an additional 6 to 8 problems from the above homework in order that you be able to complete the work and check it in class tomorrow.